I've worked on a project for a while. David, what did you work on?
Well, I began and need to finish now the spinning up of a Neo4j database and then building out a pipeline that was going to load that database. The project I was going to work on is bringing in various Washington Trails Association trail reports and trail descriptions and putting those into a graph so that we could start doing some graph analytics on that. And ultimately build up cluster and similarity analysis between trails based on not just how they're described, but also on user reports, and then even being able to time bound them so that if you know that you want to go on a trail hike next week, you can get an insight on what is it looking like across multiple different views and what people think about that as a good prospect to take you and your kids or you and your dog on a hike on this particular trail this time of year.
So I just did put Neo4j online. For those of you who don't know, this is it's comparable to Neptune, I would say. Neo4j was first. It is an excellent graph database. You can do a graph database differs from a regular database in that you have the fundamental data is nodes and edges, and then you can do a query like select all person nodes and then all persons who are friends or friends of a certain person. So it's good for social networks, good for determining relationships, good. Like you didn't want to do these like arbitrarily nested joins of joins of joins. You can find shortest paths. This is Neo4j. David,
you don't like
Richmond,
the
and I
entity attribute value pattern?
Entity attribute. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's a labeled property graph, and one of its newest features over the last couple of years is graph data science, that you can now implement everything up to a graph neural network in memory in the database itself. So that's a big advance for doing complex data science.
Yeah, so definitely check out Neo4j. It's a great graph database. It's a lot of fun. And then, all right, so back to the hackathon. So you were using Neo4j and you wanted to look at the WTA.org trails.
Right. And so they have on their website both trail descriptions and a series of user submitted trail reports that are time date stamped. So my project is going to load that data together so that you can, in graph, start to get an idea of if you're planning a hike, what is a good hike with similar properties? And if you're looking for features like I want to take my dog with me, so I'm looking for a dog-friendly hike, and I'm planning on going next week, and so I want to know what the weather's going to be like, and I was planning on bringing in weather data, that you can have an idea of, is this likely going to be, or what are the top 3 recommendations of hikes that would be recommended?
Okay.
I think that'd be a good app. And one of the things I was really impressed by that you showed me, Stephen, in the hackathon is this ability, I'm thinking about as I'm going through this iteratively, is this ability to have a pre-populated Neo4j database that I could bring in and load at the time of spinning up a DevSpace, that I don't have to reload my entire ETL. I can have pre-populated databases each time I spin up a new DevSpace. And to me, that's a big impact on my iterative cycle time. So I'm excited about that.
I'll put a little link for here. This is the repository, and anyone can go use this. But the idea, like David was saying, so we've got, so when you start a DevSpace, it starts this thing called gitpod.yaml. And this is basically saying, okay, how do you want the DevSpace to configure itself? And in this case, we have the DevSpace. When it starts, it installs the Python driver for Neo4j, and then it will actually pull a pinned Docker image for Neo4j. It will start it with a data volume and name it. And then, so we can do this right now. If we click on Graph Expert 2 and do DevSpaces. Okay, so what it's going to do, it's allocating some resources.
That button requires a plugin.
Yes, that is a plugin. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. Yep. So you see it's starting up, and then it is pulling that Docker, and it's saying, oh, okay, cool. If you want a Neo4j console, go right here. Let's command click that. Okay, this takes a second to actually get the port mapping right. And then here's the connection URL. Oh, there we go. So then we want to connect to it. So let's grab this connection URL, copy over here, and paste that in, Neo4j, and then careful observers of this code will have to get my password out of gitpod.yaml. It is the name of a fantastic band. So copy that over here. And then boom, you are in Neo4j. And so this is a totally fresh instance. And then if you want to do something simple, okay, let's populate this data. So I have, let me populate this instance. We could do here, we could do, let's do Python. Okay, so it loaded some data, and I can copy this query here, and then there we go. That is a graph query running in a fresh Neo4j instance.
And so there's still some work to be done on this project as far as the loading of that database, as well as a interface that ultimately would be built in Streamlit. But they'll at least, this will get you up and running with a database, Neo4j database running alongside of a project with some example code about how you might go around or about loading in the data. And ultimately we'll update this repo to include a Streamlit interface as well as some other features.